you want more?
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
Thank you for your time, man. This will be for KNAC.com.
Sure, no problem. Anything for the good old KNAC. You kidding me?
You probably have tons of good memories of listening to your tunes on there, huh?
We just always had, always had so much support. And being from the East Coast, KNAC was legendary. Like, we didn't have any stations really like that around here. You know, with the exception of in New Jersey, they had WSOU for the South Orange, the Seton Hall University.
Oh yeah,
and they were like the one station that played metal a lot, and WDHA in New Jersey would do it on weekends, and people would do it on weekends and 11 o'clock at night type of thing. But yeah, KNC was legendary, man. When any of my friends came out to California, if we were playing out there, that's all that we would listen to. They were like, why don't we have this back home?
Right. Well, you guys have a new record coming out and you have a new vocalist. So let's get right into that one. So you have a new record coming out. I think it's in October, but we're doing
October
in
14th.
advance. October 14th. So titled The Gang's All Here. And you also have already released that particular single, and you followed it up with yet another one. So I guess just for starters, because I have been a fan for a bit. I saw you guys way back when you guys were doing clubs, and then toured with Pantera and, all the bands that you guys came through town with, either supporting or headlining. Going back to that, you had established a new singer, ZP, and then I guess something didn't work out there. So kind of give us a little bit of, I guess, the condensed version of what was going on, because you guys were cutting the record, and I think it just wasn't clicking. And was it something that you guys mutually agreed, or did he not see that as the case?
No, I think that we all sensed that we were separating and going in different directions across the board within the band structure. And there was no animosity or yelling and screaming and, trading jabs back and forth. Nothing like that.
Right.
I think that deep inside of us, though, obviously, Rachel, Scotty, Rob, and I knew something was amiss, and it just didn't feel right. We weren't maybe communicating and the way that we were able to in the past. And it just, I guess the easiest way is to say we really were drifting in two different directions.
Right.
And so we got to a point where, as a band, we knew that we had to make a decision. We knew what we heard in our heads as far as what the record could and should be. And we had to find out how to accomplish that. Mm-hmm. And so we knew that we were making a tremendously risky move by parting ways with ZP and searching for another singer. And it wasn't like we had someone in place. Mm-hmm. That wasn't the case. Well, what we did do is when we recognized what was going on, and we parted ways with ZP, we were familiar with Erik, quite familiar. Throughout the year, starting in 2009, we were sent his demo or his audition tape for Swedish Idol when he did 18 Alive. And we were obviously really, really humbled by that. He did such a great job. We're like, yes, excellent. It was this kid in Sweden. Didn't think more of that other than wished him luck, and was pretty sure that he would go on and be successful in music. Cut to 9-10 years later, he's playing with H.E.A.T, and they end up touring with us in Europe. And so we heard him every night. Like, kid's great, and go watch him, and he sings great and performs really great. And nice guy, but we was just more passing in the hallway type of thing. He's not like riding on our bus and we're partying all the time. Nothing like that. Very, very, very casual. And also around that time, a couple of people had gotten in our ears about Erik randomly. Like I know you guys got Z and you guys have your thing going, but if anything ever happens, God forbid,
Right.
you need to get in touch with this dude. And that happened more than once. So we're like, when this situation came up, the first person we thought of was like, man, what about that dude, Erik? So we reached out to him. Rachel started up a dialogue with him. And basically what we said was, you know what, we've been writing some stuff. We've got, we'd like to hear what you sound like on one of the songs that we wrote. And it was The Gang's All Here. And we sent it to him. He got it back to us within 24 hours. We were traveling, and I was traveling separately from some of the other guys. And I'm in a airline lounge somewhere in some airport. And Rachel texts me and goes, "Did you listen to this yet?" And I didn't know whether he was excited or disappointed.
Right.
And I just write, "No, I have no privacy."
Right.
And he goes, "You gotta listen to it." And Nick Raskulinitz, our producer, said the same thing. Three of us run a group chat. So I go in the bathroom and I listen. I'm like, holy shit. Like, wow. And then listen again. I listened 4 times in the bathroom and came back out and got back on a text. I'm like, holy shit. And they're both like, this is like a game changer. Like this is what we imagined this could be. And so we sent them 2 more songs. Same performance, great. Same reaction on our end. This is next level, and it's a game changer. And so Rachel and I get on a Zoom, having not met this person ever, really, other than a casual hello. And Rachel says to him, "So here's the big question. How do you feel about being the new singer of Skid Row?" And he takes this pause, goes, immediately I'm thinking he's going to say, "Thanks, but no thanks. I've got commitments. I've got this. I've got that." And Rachel, I found out later, thought the same thing. And then after the pause, he goes, "I would be honored to." Wow. And we were like, yeah. But this is so surreal how this all occurs. And yet he's already sang on 3 songs. We had to go back and do some overdubs, but a lot of it was spot on, which was really impressive. And one of the things that we noticed that was really impressive, not so much, he's got great pitch and he's got really great inflections, but he owned those songs. Like he owned them. Like he read those lyrics and he thought about what they were saying and really, really owned it. And if he had any questions, he would call Rachel and I. This is after he's in the band. He would call Rachel or I or Nick and be like, Nick Raskulinitz, and he'd be like, "What do you think about this? And this is how I hear this, and this and that," and was really digging in deep. And it shows on the record. So he ended up doing 8 songs recorded for the record before we even met him.
Oh, wow.
Which is insanity. Never recorded like that. He did everything remotely from Stockholm with Nick and us, but Nick was there, guiding him, and we put complete trust in Nick for a myriad of reasons. Nick is a huge reason why this record is this record. He dug deep inside of all of us and pulled out this record from us because he basically, his game plan, and he told us from the very beginning, was he wanted to introduce us to ourselves again. And I thought we all thought that was a really, really amazing challenge to face.
One of the things that I'm glad you didn't do, because I know when you guys introduced Tony Harnell, I think you had I forget whether you cut a couple songs and just kind of put them out there just so people could listen to his interpretation of that.
18 in Life.
Right,
We did
18 in
18 in
Life.
Life.
And I think one of the things that I'm glad you didn't do is you didn't do that with Eric, because, it sounds like he stepped right in and kind of delivered the goods.
Without a doubt. He, I mean, more than delivered the goods. Like I said, when we're trading, adjectives or back and forth, like amazing, unreal,
Mhm.
and game changing and next level. That's because to us, that's exactly what it was and what the record needed to be. And all credit to him and to Nick, for Nick again having a very clear idea of what his vision was for this record.
Right.
Of reacquainting ourselves with that spirit that we created the band to begin with, which is basically the essence of why we still do this, is for your love, absolute undying love of music, and how it is the greatest emotional outlet for each and every one of us. And still understanding that the innocence of a 16-year-old kid standing in front of a mirror with his guitar slung low, pretending and hoping one day he can be Paul Stanley or Ace Frehley or
Right.
Randy Rhoads or Eddie Van Halen or Aerosmith or whomever, Iron Maiden. It's that spirit and that essence that Nick forced us to face again.
Right.
And it was really enlightening. And all of a sudden, all these light bulb moments started, and he challenged us in such a way that it was, you wanted to succeed. You wanted to step up to the challenge and succeed, because number one, he absolutely believed, and he was relentless in his pursuit, that we could step up and reach and supersede those goals that he had put forth in front of us. And every time, like, it's so, like, he is so well versed in our history that when he said to Rachel when they first met that he wanted to make a record, Skid Row record, he was talking about, like, I want to make a real Skid Row record. Like, in his opinion, which is natural, we have gotten away from the spirit and essence of what maybe propelled us at the very beginning. And that happens when you make records over the course of 30 some years. You don't want to repeat yourself. You don't want to be really. So you start changing things up and doing things a little bit differently, song wise and stuff. And then all of a sudden someone says, hey, take a look in the rearview mirror and see where you came from. And you realize that you're pretty far away from that throughout the years. And it's not always an easy task, I would presume, to capture that spirit again. But it exists within you. It's there. It doesn't go away. I find out, and we all found that out. And so it is pushing and setting the bar and doing things like we would deconstruct every song and reconstruct it. So, and we would stand in a room, amps blaring, drums pounding, four of us and Nick, and we go through it. And he would be barking out stuff like, okay, I love that there. I love that for the chorus. Out of the chorus, why don't you try doing something like you did in the B verse to Monkey Business? Boom, light bulb. Everybody's radar is up, and everybody's now, oh, okay. And there's ideas just bouncing everywhere. And it's so inspiring because everyone has bought into this, because we all made a conscious decision to leave whatever ego we may have as individuals and collectively we made a conscious decision that those egos stayed out of the parking lot. They didn't enter the studio at all, and they didn't enter the creative process at all. And so having that freedom with a reference point, it was really, really enlightening. And again, he put forth challenges that he believed 100% that we could attain, and we did. And that was so much fun, because you want to succeed not only for yourself, but you want to succeed at reaching that for him, because he's just one of those guys that he'll bring out the best of you, and when you get there, it's like high fives, and it's such a positive atmosphere to be in, and it's conducive. And looked forward to every day going into the jam room to put this thing together.
Right. When a band changes singers, I know you guys have had your fair share, sometimes not by your own kind of choice. It just that's the way it goes. And I'll be the first to say that when I saw that you guys had made the change again, having kind of gotten accustomed to having ZP in the band and seeing you guys live, looking forward to going, hey, I wanted to hear a record with that guy, that I was one of those guys going, I don't know how this is going to work, and this could really be the end of the band. But
we were aware of that. We were acutely aware of that.
I'm sure you were. One of the things, though, having heard the record and having really enjoyed this record, that I do think it slots in pretty well with the first couple records. I mean, it captures that, which you guys did it. And I think you just explained how that all happened. I was curious what happened there, because it was like, wow, this could have really been, the record that came right after the debut, or came right after Slave, because it's a good combination of those two classic, records that still have songs in your set to this day.
Yeah, I appreciate that very much. And again, that was at the guidance of Nick Raskulinecz. Once he set forth that sort of direction and vision, we were all on board. Not that he was saying that I want to do a record that fits in between those two records, or after, or whatever, but it was basically, I know who you guys are because I'm a fan, and this music is embedded in my soul. I want to go back and bring you guys back there, and not to rehash what you've done, but to revisit that mentality and that sensibility. Of course, a lot of life has occurred between the beginning of the first record and now, but that doesn't mean that eternal flame within you doesn't still burn. Of course it does. We just got to navigate our way to it, and that's what he was able to do.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really an exciting process.
Yeah. So where do you think the record slots in as far as with your catalog?
I think it's right where it needed to be.
Right.
I really do. I think that where we are as a band, we're absolutely revitalized. Erik has just brought a next level energy and electricity to the band, to the music, to the performances. It's an absolute pleasure to go out there and jam with the guy. And there's really something to be said about that aspect of this whole thing, the live performance aspect of it, is because the reason why you do this is for your love of music, and the love of the people that you're doing the music with, and the fun that you're supposed to have. Like, this is, of course, it's a business, but you're supposed to have fun, and you're supposed to be inspired, and you're supposed to love what you're doing, and all those things occur now And it's amazing to sit there and look across the stage and see everybody living that same moment as I am. And we're all part of this thing together. And he found his way within the band so seamlessly that you're just going, or you're waiting for, the shoe to drop or something. You don't know what's going, like, how can this be
Right.
so seamless and so easy, if you will?
Right.
I mean, literally, before we did the residency with the Scorpions in April, the first show was on March 26th. The first time we ever got in a room and hung out with Erik and had some beers and dinner and got to know each other was 4 days before that.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that's just absolute insanity that you meet a guy, you do 2 days of rehearsal, it goes so well, you take the third day off, and then you play your first show open for the Scorpions, a sold-out concert in Las Vegas. And what a trip.
Yeah.
And he did great. And here's his work ethic. Here's his mindset, how humble this guy is. That night, after everybody chilled out, he sent out a group text to the band. Hey guys, can we get together tomorrow morning so you guys can let me know what I did wrong and what I should do better, how I could improve? And like that, to me, he could have been out celebrating, doing whatever, and first show. His mind was on, okay, what next? How does this get better? Like, I love that. I love that. And that in turn inspires us as well.
Right.
And it's just new blood, new energy. And he's got a story of his own that's really, really inspiring.
Right.
So that his path, his journey is very inspiring, and he brings that with him in a very humble and gracious way.
How much material do you hope to get into the set list when you guys do headlining gigs? Because I know, with you guys, I mean, you have a pretty lengthy catalog, and I think just with all the amount of fan favorites in the first couple records and some in Subhuman, that you guys really have a huge task. And then depending on the length of the set, whether it's 70, 60, 80 minutes, that kind of starts whittling things down. But I always look forward to bands doing a lot of the new material. And by a lot, if you could do 3, 4, maybe, that's pretty cool to the diehards.
Right now we're going to concentrate on just keep putting 2 in the set. And when you put 2 in the midst of like 16 songs, you can put them in between certain songs so it flows good, and the audience has a chance to experience it and hopefully not get disinterested,
right,
for something unfamiliar. But it's been getting both songs, both Gangs All Here and Tear It Down, have been getting a really favorable response online,
right.
and on Spotify and stuff like that, and YouTube. And so that being said, it's not completely unfamiliar,
right?
But we're aware. We're very in tune with our audience, and we're certainly not going to play
right
the songs that they came to hear. A lot of songs they came to hear. So we're cognizant of we take the temperature of the room pretty well.
Right. I want to put in a request. I want to hear Erik do Can't Stand the Heartache. That sounds like that would be a killer tune to hear him sing.
He would crush it.
Yeah,
he would absolutely crush it.
Right. Okay, so about the video for Tear It Down, I mean, you guys are right literally performing on site of a house or building getting torn down. The first thing went through my mind is, I hope that didn't have asbestos in it.
That's so funny, because we had talked about that too. We were like, man, are we safe? And we're, because it was in New Jersey. There's so many protocols and that you have to adhere to. So yeah, we were assured that it was aside from a wayward support beam flying out and cracking us in the back of the head or anything like that. We were safe from any quote unquote toxic material.
Yeah. You know, one of the things that constantly comes up, and it even came up, I think, even recently, it's always out there, you know, about the reuniting with Bach. I mean, I get it as a fan, you know, I understand it. I don't know that it's going to happen, but how do you handle
No.
those things? You know, are you kind of tired? Are you think this is going to put a squash any talk of that? Because I do think, you know, there has been even more the chemistry is great with you guys, at least on record. I haven't seen you guys live yet, but you know, I've seen clips and it just seems like it goes over brilliantly. And you know, to me it's just like, don't get me wrong, I still go see Bach when he comes out this way, but I just don't think it's gonna work.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even a part of any sort of thought process.
Mhm.
Like this is Skid Row, and you know that conversation is 23 years old, and I have no desire I'm not interested. None of us are. Again, it comes down to happiness, and we're really, really, really happy and where we're at, and how the band sounds and feels, and you know, I love playing our music, and I love playing it with the guys that we're playing it with, and so I'm not gonna, I don't want
Right.
to change that. I'm in a great place personally, and I think we're all in a great place as a collective.
Yeah. Another thing that just kind of popped in my head. I mean, if given the opportunity, would you guys perform with Phil and Rex? You know, when they get together to do this Pantera tribute. I mean, would that be something you'd be interested in doing, being that you guys
Oh
have
my
had
God.
history?
They're like some of my best friends, Philip and Rex. And so of course, I'm just excited for them for what they're about to embark on.
Mhm. Nice.
So
Well,
yeah, of course. I mean, those guys are, it's like talking about, my friends of 28 years or whatever, 30 years. Yeah, 31 years.
speaking of, you know, multiple years, I mean, it was about 33 years or so that you guys did the Moscow Peace Festival, and that was,
That's
wow, what a lineup. But also, what's one memory that stands out to you about that particular performance?
It was mind blowing because it was just so enormous.
Hmm.
We were in a country and an area of the world that we were taught were the bad guys, that we were taught to hate them all our years in history class in school. So we're in the beginning stages of the end of the Cold War, which is obvious by just this massive construct of a musical gathering.
Hmm.
And the one thing that stood out to me, aside from all of these different bands whom I love and admire,
Hmm.
and being able to commingle with everybody, and it was just such a spectacle. But the one thing that stood out for me that really resonated was we were in Red Square with a group of people, some of the Bon Jovi guys, and I think some of the Cinderella guys might have been there. And there is a guy with an acoustic guitar and his case open, much like you would see on the boardwalk in Santa Monica or on a street in New York or Nashville, uh, playing guitar, playing the Beatles Yesterday.
Oh,
And I made eye contact with this guy, and I was just blown away that here's a guy, come to find out, doesn't speak a word of English with the exception of the words that he's singing from Beatles songs. And he connected with me, and that showed me that music is the ultimate communicator, the ultimate tool of community and togetherness, because it supersedes language barriers, it supersedes geographical barriers, political barriers, religious barriers. It supersedes it all.
Mhm.
It's an absolute magical elixir.
Right.
To be able to express yourself and connect in that way is not capable through any other form, to my knowledge, or that I've witnessed, any other form of communication as we know it.
Right. Just got a couple more if you can hang for two more
Of
questions.
course.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
the other thing is you guys performed Holidays in the Sun for the Make a Difference. Was that the only song that you guys were up for consideration, or were there others? And how did you, I guess, determine that that was the song to cut?
It was Rachel's suggestion, being a big Sex Pistols fan, and we're all like the Sex Pistols, but there's a punk rock element in the band. It's very obviously Rachel, and he was like, let's just bang out a Pistols tune, and how about Holidays in the Sun? And it was a resounding yes. It wasn't even a question. That wasn't even hard to figure out. And so what we did in the studios, we went in with Bruce Fairbairn, and we didn't want it to be anything overproduced. It had to be rare and raw and bare bones, and just electric. It's got to capture the essence of the band, the song, and the performance. And so, just to add, a colorful little side, Rachel played guitar on that, and Scotty played bass, just for the fun of it. And I think that Rachel playing guitar and the way that he plays guitar, I mean, he strangles a guitar, like he manhandles it.
Right.
And so that is sort of that persona, that emotion, that energy. I think Bruce really captured that.
Right.
And I can't imagine us playing that song any other way than that was the way it was recorded. Bruce Fairbairn did a fantastic job.
Nice. Last question. It's probably the toughest one. What's one word to describe Skid Row in 2022?
Undying.
All right. Hey, Snake, thank you for your time, man. We'll get this up on knac.com. Best with the record. I pre-ordered it, so I'm not, I might have been on the verge of being a hater, but I'm on board, man.
Thank you, Ruben. I really, really appreciate your time, man. It means a lot to me.
Take care, and hope to talk again down the road.
Yep, new record October 14th. The gang's all here.
Yep, we got it, man. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
take care.